Okay, welcome everyone, and particularly welcome Lisa. I have got Lisa to come on today because Lisa's just finished our 5 in 4 weight loss program, and I'm pretty excited about the results that Lisa has achieved.
Lisa's
and I
pretty
really wanted
excited
to bring, yeah.
too.
And I really wanted to bring Lisa on to give you her insights into the program, which I think there's a few insights there, Lisa, that we just had a quick discussion that there are a lot of people that are a bit skeptical around hypnosis. And so I just thought I would let everyone know what your thoughts around it were and how you came about to doing the 5 in 4.
Sure.
So yeah, let us know.
Sure. So I had identified earlier this year that I'd had some difficulty controlling food around emotions more than anything else. So over the last sort of 12 to 18 months, I've had quite a lot of stress in my life. And I just felt that I was using food as one of my sort of coping mechanisms, which is not a healthy place to be. And I knew what I wanted to try and do to try and correct some of this, but I just felt quite stuck. So fortuitously, we crossed paths as we work very closely in close proximity. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to book a session with you and just see what it's all about. My brain is very science-based, so I must admit I was a bit skeptical about, I've never had hypnosis before. I hadn't heard of all the techniques that you used. So I just thought I'd give it a go. So I booked in a single session with you and we kind of had some discussions and I had my first session and I was really pleasantly surprised at the shift I felt, even just from that first session. Like I felt like something had moved that I hadn't been able to unstick for myself for a really long time. So that's then where, after having a couple of weeks after that first session, I thought, okay, I'm going to just do the program because I just felt that it was the right thing for me to do at this point in time for me.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And just as a bit of a backstory for people before that is the reason I dropped into your clinic because you're a naturopath and I work with naturopaths and I work with quite a few naturopaths in the program. And so I wanted to see if Lisa would be interested in, being one of the naturopaths that I send people to have an initial visit because of course we work on the mind and the gut because of, that connection. So that's how I connected with Lisa initially, and then Lisa decided to, try out the program. And so
I mean, sorry to interrupt you. I was just going to say, obviously, with my clinical experience, I've always had some people that they've had that emotional kind of stick and that emotional tie to food. And yeah, I was one of them, as it turned out. So I knew all the physiology of what I wanted to try and achieve, but I just didn't have the right headspace. And that's kind of what I felt for me was one of the biggest things I got out of your program was just to be able to get into the right mindset to do the stuff that I know and to do, to do the eating well and to do the movement. And like, I just needed some help with that emotional connection or now disconnection so that I'm now only feeding myself when I need to rather than as a coping mechanism. So I felt that was one of the most valuable tools I got from the program, for sure. Definitely.
Fantastic. So after the first 4 weeks, because we didn't actually start the 5 in 4 program until after 4 weeks, what happened after our first hypnosis session in that 4 weeks?
So I guess because we identified some of my real key trigger foods and I just felt there was no desire for them at all. And I had just started to try and get exercising again. Like I've had quite a bit of chronic injury. So we just started with really basic stuff, but I just was also in the headspace of just wanting to move because I also had realized, well, at nighttime, I'm not having these emotional food kind of sessions. So obviously I started losing some weight, but I felt also just there was this energy shift is all I can describe. I just felt this really, quite a significant move in how I felt. And I ended up losing 4.5 kilos in that first 4 weeks, which was, it blew my mind because, being from a very skeptical space to knowing, okay, this is actually really now having an impact on my physiology where I knew that, doing the whole program, I knew that it would actually just help to address some of the real drivers emotionally for me as well. So yeah, that's what kind of brought me to you to sign up. So yeah, it was
Yeah.
great.
Oh, fantastic. And
Yeah.
it's just been amazing working with you because, you know, there's a commitment that is made between yourself and myself. And the work that you put into it, Lisa, was just, you know, was amazing. And you got amazing results. And
Yeah.
you know, this is key. There is action that is needed to be taken based on the
Absolutely.
work that we do together. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I
you're
think also that was the feel, like from just doing our first session together, I knew I was going to be being held accountable, but I also knew that it was in a very caring and warm environment. I felt very safe, and I knew I'd have to be quite vulnerable, and all of those things. I think you have to find the right therapist to do this sort of work with. So I was very grateful that you walked into my clinic, because I just felt that we had a really like a connection, and you need that with any sort of emotional work. You need to find someone that's going to fit you. So yeah, I just feel like I knew that the work had to be done, but I was ready to do it. But it was also because I was ready to do it because I trusted you, and I felt safe knowing that I would get the results. So yeah, so thank you to you too.
Oh, thank you. And so,
Yeah.
Lisa, what was the most surprising thing about the program that perhaps you hadn't expected? What sort
Yeah.
of stood out for you?
Just some of the real, the emotional stuff that we kind of, you did lots of digging, which I knew would come, but just the fact that it's put so much stuff to bed. Like I think about those things that used to be triggers, and they're just not, there's no reaction anymore. I just feel so at peace. There's a level of calmness in my life that I haven't had for a really long time. But I think it was also just because, yeah, you just helped me call myself on some of that stuff, but also address it and clear it. Which, again, I coming from a science brain, I still can't really comprehend some of the stuff that you do. But now I've just come to terms with the fact it's great, and it is what it is. Yeah, if anyone was ever skeptical, I'd say just do a session and try it, because I was so pleasantly surprised at how significantly different I felt. But I've just had people noticing, what have you been doing? Like they've noticed a shift in me, like in my stress, my calm, my delivery, yeah, just, and that was really a pleasant surprise. Like I knew that this would really benefit me, but I think it was bigger than what I first expected. So yeah, that's been really wonderful. And to have people noticing that difference in me, not just my size change, but my headspace change, has been really lovely as well.
Yeah, that's right. And
Mm.
what we're talking about is the timeline therapy, which
Yeah.
it does really go to the root cause of the emotional issue, and it's the emotions that are weighing us down, literally and physically,
Yeah.
within our, you know, the energy of our body, but it also creates underlying stress, and stress is the biggest blocker to weight loss. So
Mm.
it's so good to just have that stuff gone off the
Yeah. Well,
shoulders.
I physically felt lighter after we did those sessions. Like I
Yeah.
just, and again, someone would say, how does it work? I'm like, I don't know, but it's wonderful. Just go. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's better, you just don't need to. You just have to
No, you
have
don't need to.
faith. And yeah, and so for me, that's also been a gift of just surrendering to the process. You know, you're the professional in this realm, I am not, and I've just been blown away with how different I felt. So yeah, it's been, and I think also for me going forward with some of our potential mutual clients, now I have a really deep understanding of the work that you do with them because I've done it. I think that will also enhance the way I'll be able to help them as well from a physiological point of view. So I think it was just a really important thing for me to experience on a personal and a professional level, so that I can have a really clear understanding of the wonderful stuff you do. It's awesome.
Oh, wow. Oh, thank you. And
Sure.
so, Lisa, moving forwards, what have been the overall results? So, you know, you lost some weight, and you know, you had some shifts in the first 4 weeks. What happened in
Yeah.
the next 4
So
weeks?
I think because I had such a big shift in that first 4 weeks, that when I actually did the program, it was more size that shifted for me more than more weight. I think in the end, I've lost about 6 kilos all up working with
Yeah,
you, but
yeah,
it was more size. I probably lost nearly a dress size working with you just in that sort of 5-week program. So was it 14 centimeters all up from
I
different
think
parts of
so.
my body. So it was somewhere around there, but still I felt like my clothes are fitting me so much better. And there's things that I'm wearing that I haven't worn for a really long time. Not because I couldn't, but they weren't comfortable to wear. Whereas now I just feel more comfortable in those clothes. So that's been lovely as well. But quite honestly, the biggest thing is that I just have this really quiet confidence that I'll know that I'll get to my goal now. Like I'm not where I want to be. There's a little bit more for me to do. But I feel like just establishing some really solid habits through the work in your program, mentally and emotionally, but also just doing the work in regards to, I mean, obviously being a naturopath, I know how to eat clean, I know how to move, but I just wasn't motivated, or I wasn't in the right headspace to kind of just push that forward. Whereas now it's just part of my life. I just do it without thinking. And so for me, that was just creating that healthy new reset was what I also really gained out of your program as well.
Yeah, great. And you know, this is all the work that we do with the subconscious mind, which drives us completely. And as you've just, you know, beautifully pointed out, you are a naturopath, you know all the stuff, and this is what happens with a lot of people around, you know, food, that they know consciously what they should be eating, but there's just this thing that stops them, and this thing is all the emotions that are underneath, you know. And
so yesterday, just sorry to interrupt you, I had a family function to go to, and obviously, you know, there was desserts offered and stuff. And normally I would say no straight away because it was one of my, that's a no-go. But I thought, no, I've worked really hard and I've trained this morning and I've done it all. So I had my dessert, I enjoyed it, I shared it with my kids. So it was really more balanced. And I think for me, that was a big thing, that I just needed that reframing of knowing that you can have that stuff every now and again as a treat or a reward, but it's in context of awesome eating the whole week, and that you can enjoy those things to celebrate those functions and know that there was no guilt, whereas previously there would have been for me. So I also think just that reset of these things are still going to be part of your life, but you have a more balanced approach to how you look at them, and they're not the thing that you go to when there is a stress or there is an emotional tie. It's just so much, like I just have control, I guess, on all my food so much more. So, and again, being a naturopath, I know a lot about food. So it was more just, there is no emotional connection to that food any longer. It's just nourish your body well and then really enjoy those treats when they're around. So I think that was a big reset for me from a headspace point of view too with your program.
Yeah, and that's so perfect, because food is meant to be enjoyed, and our life does revolve around food. We need food to survive, but it's also part of enjoyment and connection. And you know, we'll always have ups and downs, you know, in terms of functions to go to. Christmas is around the corner.
Absolutely.
And being able to free your mind and release yourself from that guilt, or that, oh no, that's good or that's bad, or this, whatever, all this stuff. This is what makes the difference, because our bodies do know what they need, and it's okay to, you know, enjoy and nourish yourself with food, because it should be joyful. And then knowing internally that your body will reset and rebalance, and you know, your metabolism will just continue as it should, in the way that it should. But you know, life has ups and downs, and it's okay to go with that flow. So I'm glad you pointed that out. That's fantastic.
Well, I think that was like, yesterday was probably the first time since I finished the program that I was put in that position of I guess testing the water a little bit about how I felt about that meal, and then actually looking forward to having dessert and celebrating something really special with my family. And not having the emotional connection to, oh, that was a really bad decision. I didn't have that at all. I was like, no, this is great. You know, I'm with my family. It's a beautiful time. And so, and then I trained really hard again this morning, and it's all happy days. So it's, you know, it's about just getting that balance back, because the emotional connection's not to food any longer. So I think for me, that was a massive, massive shift. So
fantastic. Wow.
Great.
And Lisa, if someone was sitting on the fence about the program, and they were thinking, oh, I don't know, you know, I'm not sure about this, I'm not sure about that, I'm not sure about the money, you know, all those types of things.
Sure.
What would you say to someone who might be just sort of, you know, hedging their bets, so to speak?
Yeah, sure. Look, I think for me, doing that single session was a pretty big shift in regards to seeing the value of doing the full course. And I think also because many people may have not used the techniques that you used before, and just to have that first experience being so positive, then I knew, okay, this has to be something I want to do. In regards to the money, I just think you've also got to value yourself enough to put that money forward, because it's very rare as a mother, as a working mother, you will spend that sort of money on yourself. But once I'd made the decision, I just thought, no, I'm totally worth doing this for, and the impact I know will be worth 10 times that in my life. So I kind of think it's just about really clarifying that you are worth investing this money in doing this program, because for there's other therapists, there's other things to try, but if this does resonate, you will have massive change. So for me, it was just really reaffirming self-worth more than anything else, but also just thinking, well, I knew this was exactly where I needed to work at this time. Like, I knew all the physiological stuff, but I knew it was my emotional sort of handbrakes that needed help releasing. So that's how I kind of saw your program would do that for me. So I think it's just about meeting the right person at the right time, and valuing self enough to do it. So yeah, that would be my hedging bets. Just try a session first, and you'll feel the shifts. So yeah, that would be my,
wow. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah,
It's just
pleasure.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm I've got a lot of from working with you as well, because we can now refer clients back and forth, and I know how you work because I went to see you as well, and it's just this lovely synergistic that we have, and it's such an important part of my program to be able to work with someone that has some knowledge, and a naturopath going through this program is just it's pretty special, and I just thank you so much for trusting me to do it, and to work with you, and that your results have just been fantastic. So thank you.
Delighted. Pleasure. Thank you. I'm sure this won't be the last time we cross paths. I have no doubt.
No, that's right.
Brilliant.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Lisa. We'll leave it there. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.